Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to our webinar. My name is Adele Eroser, and I'm the current Executive Director at the Bishop Parker Foundation. After working for the foundation for 3 years, I'm happy to be retiring again. And now we are turning everything over to Miss Wendy. This month we're working together during this transition time to turn over the leadership to Wendy. So Wendy, take it away.
Thank you, Adele. Good morning, everybody. We're glad so many of you are joining us this morning. As Adele said, my name is Wendy Deming, and I'm in my first week at Bishop Parker Foundation. It's been a whirlwind of a week, and loving learning more about what this important organization is doing to help those in Manatee County. I have been in this region for about 30 years and in the philanthropic sector for 25. So very grateful to have this new role at Bishop Parker Foundation and look forward to getting to know all of you. So I want to thank Simone Peterson, who is managing this webinar for us. We are at Manatee Community Foundation's offices today, and Simone has been a really big help in getting this program on for us. So thank you, Simone. And she will also be moderating the chat later on during the session. So our goal today is to provide information to assist those seeking funding from our foundation. This session is geared toward those who may not have a lot of experience with computers or grant writing, and the content is primarily directed to providing the information you need to avoid any problems for your application experience. Hopefully this session will provide information and insights not only to those who are new to grant writing, but also to those of you with many years of experience. And I know there are lots of you on this webinar. At the end of this session, there will be a question and answer period. As we go through our agenda, please ask any questions you may have using the chat feature located at the bottom of your Zoom page. There are some who have registered who are new to our organization, so we thought we would start with a little history about our foundation. It all began when John Huntington and his wife Jane immigrated to the United States in 1854 with nothing to their name. Despite this difficult beginning in the New World, they managed to amass a large portion through the development of his inventions and businesses. One of his most important partnerships was with John D. Rockefeller, who used John's invention of oil barrels to ship oil throughout the United States. One of John Huntington's children, William R. Huntington, was also noted for being a successful businessman and was the father of Lillian Patty H. Huntington, who became the wife of Edward E. or Ned Bishop. Ned came from a wealthy family as well that owned an important Cleveland, Ohio firm, the early manufacturers of soda fountains and plumbing fixtures. Ned and Patty married in 1914 and settled in Bradenton, although they traveled extensively. While in Bradenton, the Bishops were active in the civic and cultural life of the area and made generous and impactful gifts, usually anonymously, to many of the organizations and institutions in our area today. The Bishops met Mary Parker, a graduate nurse in New York in 1934, and invited her to be their nurse and companion. After her biological parents passed, they adopted Patty as their daughter and heir, Mary as their daughter and heir. The Edward E. and Lillian H. Bishop Foundation was established in 1953 for charitable giving purposes, and Mary Parker established her own foundation in 1986 for the same reason. In addition, Mary gave very generously from her personal bank account to meet community requests each year. Mary passed away in March 2020 at 108 years old, leaving an incredible legacy of giving. Adele?
Yes, when I became executive director 3 years ago, the two foundations were planning to legally combine. This is a process that took almost 2 years. Now we're incorporated in Florida under the Mary E. Parker Foundation name, and we're doing business as the Bishop Parker Foundation. During this transition time, the past 3 years, many changes have taken place in the foundation, most notably the addition of 2 trustees, and also how we changed grants are solicited. Previously, only charities supported by the Bishops and Mary Received hard copy invitations to apply for funding once a year. Now trustees have changed that process, and the application is open to eligible nonprofits serving Manatee County individuals and animals. Also, the application process was moved online, and application consideration periods went from once a year to twice a year now, with one in the spring and one in the fall. Each cycle, the number of applications is increasing, making this a very competitive grant. I often hear from some of the organizations that did not get funded during the cycle, and they ask, what did they do wrong? Or how are they going to change something to be considered in order to improve their application? But actually, the fact is your application is competing with many others. And with limited funding available each year, the trustees must make some very difficult choices in what to fund. How they make these decisions is primarily based on the information you provide in your applications. So we'd like to review our website with you and direct you to items that may be helpful as you consider an application. And you know the website address is www.bishopparkerfoundation.org.
The first step in making an application is to complete an eligibility quiz to determine if your organization qualifies for funding. On the home page, under the heading Grant Tools, click on the blue tab labeled Eligibility. This takes you to the page that lists all the requirements. As listed, they are, and we'll go to the Eligibility tab. Your organization must be a 501c3 nonprofit. Your project must be located in or serving a population in Manatee County. You must have an up-to-date profile with a giving partner, and your funding request needs to be at $15,000 or more. The actual links for the eligibility quiz that you see here in purple will only open when the portal opens on February 15th, next Thursday. If your organization meets all the criteria, which may take several days to confirm on our end, you will be sent a link which will give you access to the application. This is not an automatic process. We take time to check all the items you have submitted to confirm your eligibility. And once that is confirmed, you will be sent the link. So remember, if you haven't received the link immediately, that is normal. If your organization is not eligible, we will send you an email and let you know why. We close the eligibility portal on March 12th at 4 p.m. This means you are not able to access the grant application if you have not completed the eligibility quiz by March 12th at 4 p.m. This is another great reason to send in your application early.
This next part is very important. Your project must be located in or serving a population from Manatee County. If you have a project that operates in several different counties, you will need to indicate in your application what % of your total organization operations serve Manatee County residents. When you are completing the budget for the project or the program that you're requesting funds for, you will need to clearly show what % of your total program budget is allocated to serving these Manatee County residents. So why do we require a giving partner profile? We're trying to make this application process as efficient and easy for you as possible. By having up-to-date information in your profile, especially your tax ID number, your 990s, audits, operating budgets, board member information, etc. We did not have to ask for that in our application. So in preparation for applying, please ensure that your profile has your most recent financial and operational information. If, for example, your year end is June 30th, 2023, and you're expecting your audit or your 990 to complete it any day, please state this in your application. And when you do receive your documents, please email them to us as soon as possible. Our review process takes several months. So even though you may not have something at the close of the application on March 15th, you should have it soon thereafter, assuming your fiscal year ended June 30th, 2023. If you do not have a profile in the giving partner, you can use the Ask a Question box located under the Grant Tools heading to explain why. That's going back. Ask a Question box is in red. When you're prompted to provide a link to your organization's profile in the giving partner, please check to make sure it is your organization's giving partner profile, not the GiveGab profile link, which is used for the Giving Challenge. Last year, I had several different organizations send me the link to their Giving Challenge information instead of their giving profile link.
Bishop Parker Foundation only accepts funding requests that are $15,000 or more. Requests for less than $15,000 are processed through a fund we maintain at Manatee Community Foundation. The MCF Grants Committee meets almost every month to review grant requests. So if you have an immediate need, this may be a better alternative for you. However, the fund we maintain there will not address animal welfare requests, as we will explain a little later. The application portal will close at 4 p.m. on March 15th, with no consideration for applications in process but not submitted by that time. Remember, in order to get access to the application, you must have completed the eligibility quiz and your information had to be confirmed. Our advice to you, to have a positive experience with this process, familiarize yourself with all the application requirements so you are prepared once the application portal opens next week. All the questions for both the general application and the capital application are available for you to preview at any time by clicking on the application checklist or capital funding request checklist under the Grant Tools heading on our website homepage. A great way to complete the application is to answer the questions using a Word document, then cut and paste your answers into the application once the portal opens. That way, if there is any problem with your application submission, you do not need to go back and rewrite everything. Please, please, please don't wait until March 15th to submit your application, as there are so many things that can go wrong. We speak from experience. The internet can go down, there can be glitches in the submission, and so many other unexpected hurdles can appear. Please don't wait until the last minute. There is no wiggle room on that 4 o'clock deadline on March 15th.
The limitations that we have put on the descriptions for each question in the application, they're really there to help you focus on the essential information for your project. Why is your project needed? What kind of impact can be reasonably expected? And how will you and we know that it is successful? We don't need information about your organization, its history, etc. These are things we can review in your giving partner profile. We need to know why your project should be funded. So focus your explanations on providing that essential information, not these other things that we can look up. The limitations are for the number of characters, including spaces, not the number of words. When you're using a Microsoft Word, click on Review on the upper toolbar, and you will see word count as the third item from the left, and you can use this to monitor your character count. Thank you, Simone. For those of you considering a capital request, there is a separate application. It's exactly the same as the general application, but requires uploads of documents that are relevant to your project, such as permitting approval, design architectural drawings, etc., if that's applicable. It also requires upload of a timeline for completion of your project and providing a budget information showing how a grant from our foundation fits into your overall capital campaign. What's the difference between a general request and a capital request? We get this question a lot. Capital requests are for funding for a fixed asset, such as a major equipment purchase, renovations, new construction, or additions that increase the property value, extend the life of the property, or they alter or adapt the use of property. For example, if you're repairing roof tiles, this is not a capital expense. But if you're replacing a whole roof, that would be. If you have a question regarding whether your proposed project meets the definition of a capital project, please submit your question using the red Ask a Question box on the website under the Grant Tools heading. The homepage lists the 6 areas of interest that Bishop Parker Foundation will consider. A description of each of these comes up when you click on the picture associated with that interest area. And now we're going to look at, if you click on grant applications, pull that down at the top. There we go. Yep. So grant applications, again, this goes through the cycles. Can you pull it down a little farther? Just, this is also showing that the fall grant cycle opens in September, closes September 29th. So that's for this year. It just goes through the basic information. Can you pull it down even farther? And then it shows you how to download the checklist. So if you have the checklist, go ahead and click on that. That shows you the actual application. So these are the questions that you can fill out in your Word document and have this ready to go to cut and paste into the actual application when you get the application. So you should be able to get all of the information together prior to the time that you want to complete the application. If you're considering a project but don't have all the information you need, it's not totally planned out, or you just aren't ready, please don't submit something. This is a very competitive grant application, and you must justify all the aspects of your submission. There's another grant cycle opening in September, so to give your project the best possible opportunity, and please wait until then if you're not ready now. And then uploads. There is some confusion about what needs to be uploaded, so I want to explain what we're looking for in the documents you're requested to upload. First is a timeline for your project. We'd like to know and like to see an implementation date and expected results date. If your funding request is for operations for a year, please state that, and then outline when results can be determined. If it's for a construction project, for example, please upload the construction timeline. Obviously, if it is for something like equipment purchase, there's no implementation timeline, but we would still expect to see a timeline of when the items will be purchased and used. The current total operating budget, this is the one that we probably have the most problems with. And this means your entire organizational operating budget for your current fiscal year. This means the operating budget for your whole organization. And if you have a separate operating budget for the program or the project that you're applying for, please include this also. For example, if you're from a large organization that has multiple programs, upload the budget for the entire program you're requesting funding for. And then we would also like to see the entire organizational budget. We also need a line item budget for the project or the program. This is where you would list the funding that you're requesting and what it will be used for. For example, for a program, you may be requesting funding for salaries and equipment, training and supplies. And each of these items should be listed separately on a line with the proposed expenditure next to it. You can highlight the item that you're requesting funding for if it's just one item out of a list of items for a program. That helps us when we're reviewing it. And then basically, we just want to know how you came to the amount you're requesting. So it's very helpful if you have estimates for items that you're proposing to purchase or pay for. You will need to have approval of your organization's executive director and board president. Please be sure they're going to be available to sign off on your organization's application before you submit it. And then please note that the browser compatibility are for Google Chrome, Firefox, or Safari for the best results. Also very important, please review the information about saving your application. Nothing is worse than in all the information is in the application and then you go back to it later and you find the application is blank.
If you experience any difficulty completing or submitting your application, please use the technical assistance form located at the bottom of the grant application page to submit your problem. Our team will respond to you within 48 hours, and usually it's much sooner than that. If you have a question about funding, please use the Ask a Question form in the Grant Tools box on our homepage. All the information from applications is compiled for the trustees to review. They typically have 2 to 3 meetings each grant cycle to review the many submissions, and may request in-person presentations from organizations. The review process can be impacted by many things, especially the busy schedules of our trustees. But they plan to finish with the approval process in order to approve grants at their June meeting for the spring grant cycle and in November for the fall grant cycle. Payments are made after approval, so that usually happens in July and December. All applicants, those who are approved and those who are not approved, are notified by email. We provide payment using direct deposit to organization accounts. Successful applicants will be asked to supply ACH transfer information on a form that we will provide. Now a word about animal welfare. We know it is confusing because we get many questions about the Bishop Animal Shelter. As you may know, in March of 2022, the Bishop SPCA Foundation formally turned over operations of the Bishop Animal Shelter located in West Bradenton to Manatee County government. The Bishops had provided for this shelter by setting up a totally separate foundation, the Bishop SPCA Foundation, to assist with funding their animal shelter. Once operations were turned over to the county, the funding previously used for operations was made available for grants. Their foundation provides a separate grant process for animal welfare, independent from the Bishop Parker Foundation. We encourage you to check on their website, bishopspca.org, for application information about requests for animal welfare projects. Their spring application process opens on February 15th and closes March 14th, 2024. We hope we have provided the information you need to feel confident in making an application to Bishop Parker Foundation. Now, Simone will let us know if there are any questions that have been submitted. And for your information, the webinar has been recorded and will be posted on our website for future reference.
Nothing behind the tool, it can't come back. There we go. Check the chat. Okay, so thank you, very helpful. Let me go back to the top. Give me just one moment. Let me stop share. Okay. Okay, is there a maximum amount of BPF funding or funding that the foundation will entertain? I understand the over $15,000 component, but I'm curious about what your guidance would be as the far upper range.
There is no, I can't give you any guidance with that. I will say that they have given up to, which I don't think they would consider now again, up to 5 million to one organization. But again, it's up to the trustees. There's no upper limit, but just be mindful that this is very competitive. There's a limited amount of funding available. So make your request reasonable.
And then we have may granted funds support administration functions.
Yeah, I mean, if that's part of your salary or it's part of your administrative operations, then you would write your funding request for operations, which the salaries would be part of that.
And then if our mission crosses over several missions or categories, do we just pick one?
And often this is the case. Yes, you just pick one. And as long as it's not the animal category, that's fine. But if it goes and crosses over into the animal category, that would probably be something to then again send to the Bishop Animal Shelter, the SPCA Foundation.
And can you have multiple grants funded at the same time, or are you limited in a 12-month period?
That's a very good question. You are limited to one grant in a 12-month period.
Can an organization apply in both cycles in the same calendar year? I think you just answered that one.
Well, you can. So let's say that you applied this spring and if you were not funded, can you apply in the fall? Yes, you can apply in the fall again. Same project, or you might make some revisions. And again, I can't say this enough. A lot of people are like, well, we applied, we weren't funded. What did we do wrong? What can we do to make this a better application? And really, there's nothing. It's just the competition that they prioritize the other things during that grant cycle. And if you apply in the fall, you may be prioritized. So there's, just keep trying.
And then capital request for an animal welfare organization, will that still fall under animal welfare and Bishop SPCA?
Yes.
Any other questions, anyone? Feel free to just add it to the chat. Can capital be for buildings in another county, but services are in Manatee?
Ooh, I don't know how that would work.
I think it would depend on the number of Manatee County residents that are served by that building. So if you are going that route, I would make sure that you indicate the percentage of clients that would be served from Manatee County.
Yeah, it isn't just a guesstimate, that you would be able to have a very good tracking system to make sure that we'd be able to tell that those people are from Manatee County.
Does the limit of 1 grant in 12 months apply if you apply for both capital and a regular?
We've not had that situation. Probably what would happen is they would choose between the two. We have had people say, can we apply to both? Yes, you can apply to both, but they would probably not fund both of it. So you may want to prioritize which one is most important for you.
Is it 1 capital request and 1 general request per year, or 1 request per year in any category?
Up to this point, it's just been 1 general request per category overall. Any other questions?
This is a great time if there's any other questions.
All right, thank you all so
Thank
much.
you. Good luck.